Hello, welcome back to this video series. We'll be covering keyboard shortcut for getting around worksheet and workbook. First of all, usually in Excel, if you have already done any data using Excel, you'll know that in Excel we deal with a lot of data. Sorry. In Excel, we usually deal with a lot of rows of data. So we usually require shortcuts, keyboard shortcuts for moving around, which is basically shorten the time from moving from one row to another, from one cell to another, from one sheet to another, which become usually helpful and usually handy. So we'll start with the control home. Usually control home, it take you to the first to the top of your Excel worksheet. So if I press Control Home, you can see my cursor is now on A3. But if I press Control End, which is opposite command of Control Home, it will take me to the end where the data have entered do end there. Usually note this, that Control Home and Control End take you to the cell in the worksheet which has data in it. So if you're working with an Excel which has no data, usually this command doesn't perform so well. So for example, I'm in the row 181. If I press Control Home, well, in my case, since I'm using a laptop, I'm supposed to use the function. So you'll need to check if you're going to the home button, you are required any special button so that you can access that command home. But in my case, I'll have to press Control F any and home, and then it will take me directly to the top of my Excel workbook since I wanted to go to the home. So you can see this is one of the shortcut of moving around. Another shortcut which is similar to this one is using Control and arrow keys. No, let's start with arrows. Arrows, you can use them, the down one to go down, right one to go right, left one to go left, and up one to go up. Usually this is when you have small Excel work data that you're working with, you will usually use this. Possibly, it depends with your taste. But when you use arrows with control, let me see, yes, control plus arrows, it will move as if it refers to the control home and control end. Usually when you press control and down arrow, it will take you to the last cell, which has data, or to the last row which has data. So if you go to the right, it will take you to the last cell, or yes, to the last cell or last column which has data. But if the data are finished and you press Control right arrow, it will take you to the feasible Excel, to the last feasible Excel which you can be able to write. But if you go back, it will take you to where the data can be found, and it will take you to back to the data. So, but back to where the data end. Let's try something which, when we're working with data, is usually helpful. For example, in row 80, let me insert blank columns here, and let's see how these commands behave, or how this command can be different. Let's go to the end, to the bottom of our bottom of our worksheet. Now I want to go to home page. I'll try to use control upward arrow, and then I'll try to use control home so we can see the difference. So I'll start with control up arrow. With the control up arrow, you see it stops when it find a blank, or when it's find a blank which had no data, or no, yes, has no, that row has no data in it. But when I press control up again, it will skip that, and when I press control up again for the third time, it's when it will bring me to the home. Here it's already in home, it did not just show. So let me go to the end, control arrow down. Again, control arrow down. I'm in the bottom of my Excel worksheet, which is row 181 or row 182. Let's just use control and home function. When I press Control Home, usually it will take me to home no matter what is in between. But that home which it will bring me, it will always bring me to the home which has data. So that's have to note that, since they usually work different, and it can be up to your taste to know which command, which shortcut to use when you're navigating through Excel. Another thing is using page up or page down. Usually when you read this, it say up or down one screen worth of rows. For example, my screen now show from row 3. Yes, it has from row 1 to row 9, which can be seen in my screen. If I press page down, you can see it's from 10 to 17. So it's a screen worth rows are been moving either up or down. For example, let me close this, let me zoom out. Yes, let me zoom out. For example, now it's from row 1 to row 32. If I press page down, it will be from 33 to 64. So when we say a screen worthy of rows will be moving either up or down, that means what you'll be seeing on your screen is what will be moved. So if you you've zoomed in a lot in your Excel and it's only showing probably 2 rows, when you press page down, it will only move the cells which can be seen in your worksheet. So that's the screen worthy meaning. Okay, let's add back. Yes, let's just show tabs so it can know that we are working with Excel. So that's page up and page down. But another good features which I usually like in Excel is control page up or control page down, which usually when we were using page up or page down, it was moving rows. But control, when we apply control with the button page up or control with the button page down, it will starting moving, navigating through sheets. So if I press control and then page up, it will, no, I press page down, it will start moving me across my sheets, which I do have in my my Excel worksheet, in my Excel workbook. So that's way to navigate across through sheets. But there is another shortcut which is not in the notes, but is usually a good way to move around Excel worksheet. You'll just press control and you'll have these arrows which show in the right. If I press this one, it will move me to the last worksheet which is available in this workbook. So if I press control and that's right arrow, you see it will bring me to the last sheet which is available in this workbook. If I press control and place the left, it will move me to the last sheet which is available in the workbook. But something to notice that it will move you, it will just show you, it will just show like a pip of what the last worksheet that the last worksheet. To reactivate that or to go to that worksheet, you'll have to manually click to the name of that worksheet to start working with that worksheet. So if you scroll, let's say I'm in worksheet, I'm in sheet 8, but I want to go to the first sheet that was, it has data. If I press control plus that left arrow, it will bring me to the first sheet. I will see the first sheet. But if I type, I'm still in that last sheet which we were dealing with, that it was active. So you will have to click on sheet 1 so that you can be able to deal with sheet 1. Another option which we also learned here in class was that if you right click in those arrows which show left or right, navigating through sheets, you can see all other sheets that are available in your workbook. So from here, you'll just click the one you want and it will activate it right away. So you'll just right click and I want to go to sheet 1. It will bring me to sheet 1. This is also much simpler ways of navigating through your worksheet. Right click, I want to go to the last sheet and it will bring me to the last sheet. So with this knowledge plus the knowledge we get from when with the video saying dealing with workbook and worksheet and how to manipulate, you can add this feature there so that you have enough knowledge on how to navigate through worksheet easily. Another thing we have, which it's usually helping us to get around Excel, to navigate through Excel, is a scroll bars. Most applications do have scroll bar. Let me now right click here, go to my first worksheet. On the right, you will see a bar with an arrow, a button arrow up and a button arrow down. This is a vertical bar, but we can have on down if there is a horizontal bar on below. But these bars usually help us navigate through our Excel by left clicking our bar and then using the mouse scroll. Or for example, in my side, I'm using a laptop, so I'm using a touchpad to navigate through the worksheet that I want to move. So to move from. So from the top of my worksheet, if I press the horizontal scroll bar, I just left click it, and then I'll start moving my cursor downward so that it can move with the Excel worksheet. But usually the this, what is it called? The scroll bar, it's usually span where to your last data are fed. So for example, when we go to sheet 9, you will see the scroll bar, it's almost full. It's not moving my cell that much since there is no data fed in that sheet 9. So that's the same way to a bottom horizontal scroll bar, whereby it will be moving a little bit to the right to the sheet, which to the sheet or across the cells which contain data. So usually remember, all these keyboard shortcut, they usually refer to sheets that contain data, to cells that contain data, so that when you are moving, it only moves to show you the data where the data are available, so that it will go only to the end of the data, whether in the home, in the top of the table, bottom of the table, right or left. Another one is a scroll wheel. Well, I don't know how I can explain it here, but if you're having a mouse there, you will notice it has a scroll wheel in the middle. That scroll wheel can be pressed as a button. When it can be pressed as a button, just once press it as a button, and you can use that scroll wheel to move from any direction that you want across your worksheet. That feature, it can be applied to web browser, but as far as we're dealing with Excel, that feature is also, it can be applied. The scroll wheel can be pressed, and then you can move it to turn around to navigate through your worksheet. But also the scroll wheel is scrollable. That means you can scroll it to move data from either bottom to up or up to bottom. Another thing is name box. Yes. Another shortcut that we can be used to move around Excel is using name box. For example, I do know in this worksheet that my last cell are around 181, 180 something, or 182. Well, I can use that 181 and type it in this name box here, whereby the active cell address appears. But when I enter a cell that I want to go in the name box and press enter, Excel will take me directly to that, you see, it will take me direct to that cell that I want to go, and it will be an active cell by default. So this feature can be applied also by, it is the same as when we were using the go to command. The go to command can be activated by using Control G, whereby it will create a pop-up box. In that pop-up box, you type the cell address that you want to go. So since we moved to cell A181 using the name box feature, let's go back to home using the go to command, which I pressed Control G, and then it will show go to command. And then when I enter the cell, since I'm in the bottom of my Excel table, I'll want to go up. I usually know, let's say use A3. Since A3 will be on top of my worksheet, and when I press go, the active cell will change from 181, which is the current active cell, to A3. whereby also the worksheet will move me across all the data in the middle and move me back to the top of my worksheet. But usually some use this feature, some don't. So across all the shortcuts that we'll be having through this video, you can find the one which suits you, the one which you think they are the easiest, because the shortcut, they are supposed to give us less time to do something. They're supposed to give us shortcuts, but you can find any shortcut which suits you to move around across your worksheet when you are dealing with worksheet. Now, another thing that we must cover in this video is using the find command, and then we'll cover using sort. Now, to find the find command in Excel, using shortcut, we'll have to press Ctrl F. When you press Ctrl F, this pop-up will show up. It will have this option feature down here. Usually this feature is not enabled. The option seeing other option is not enabled by default. You'll have to press the this button option so that it can show you other features that are available in this find pop-up box. So let's start. For example, we are looking for, okay, let's say we are looking for this employee 50. We'll just come to in our place in this pop-up which says find what, and type employee and 50. When we find next, you see the active cell will move from whatever active cell was, and it will go to the cell which it was find that employee 50. If we type something which is not available, let's type also the words not available, just like that, available, you can see this message will show up that we couldn't find what you were looking for. Click option for more ways to search. So if I put my active cell to H80 and I type again employee 45, 47, let's say employee 47, these data were autofilled, that's why you can see the names are like employee and then a number. You see it's from that H80 and it goes to where it founded employee 47. So usually this is a very helpful feature in finding data easily in Excel. But another feature which is also included in the find command is searching across entire workbook. For example, we have this employee 47 in our sheet 9. I'm just copying him. Okay, I didn't copy. I'll close that accessibility, sorry, and then paste here. I'll just paste special sheet 10. Let me paste him here so we can learn how we can search across workbook. Now we are in the across worksheet. Now we are in the worksheet 11, but we are still looking for employee 47. So let's assume that is not the where employee 47 is not the active cell, but we want to find employee 47. We can use the same find feature whereby employee 47 is already typed and it's correct typed. That means when I'll go to option, if this option will not be showing, I'll have to activate it, and then within we'll have to change it from sheet to workbook. When I change it from sheet to workbook, when I press next, you see it's already it's find the employee 47 in sheet 11. When I press next again, it's not finding him. You usually use find all so that it show him across all the workbook where employee 47 is available. When I press find all, it goes to the first sheet whereby it has found that employee 47. In this dialog, in this pop-up window here, you'll see it will show the book name. That's where employee 47 is found. It will show the sheet name. It will show the cell address whereby that's for employee 47 that we are finding for is available. Now, since we use the find all command, we can use the arrows up and down to navigate all through the employee 47 that we found in our workbook. Now when I press down, you see it changes sheet from sheet 1 to sheet 9, from sheet 9 to sheet 10, and to sheet 47. No, to sheet 11, whereby in all the sheet it was found the employee or the string that we were looking for, that was employee 47. So that's all for the feature find. But we can find and replace. If we want to find employee 47 and replace with some other text, where we find employee 47, it can be replaced, let's assume, with MP 47. This way, it's usually when it reaches the string EMP employee 47, it will usually replace them with employee EMP 47. Let's see how this feature works. You can use the feature find, but when you find it, you can use we go carefully. We'll have to find all. When you find the employee 47 that we are looking for as per our searching window here, we can use this button, which is replace once. It will replace once. When I press replace, and we go back to sheet 1, you will see where it on cell C79 it was written employee 47. It has now been replaced by EMP 47. So it was replaced by only pressing only once. You can use the replace feature, replace all feature, whereby all the employee 47 that were found in your workbook will be replaced by the EMP 47 depending on what we defined. So this feature, with this command, you have to be very careful with it because it can replace your data across multiple worksheets with just one click of the button, one click of the command replace all. So you have to be careful, but you have to understand how it works. So if I press replace all, it will replace, it will show this message that replace done, but also it will show you how number of replacement were made depending on how the number of it will depend on the number that which we were finding the employee 47 has appeared in our worksheet. So with employee 47 has appeared 4 times, but we replaced the first one using the replace one command, and the rest we use the replace all command. So that means it made 3 replacement. And after that, and that's just the find and replace command. Another very helpful feature in Excel is sorting. Usually sort it depends with kind of data that you have. Now let's see, let's go to the top of our data and let's use the name here. We want to sort. Usual sorting is rearranging data so that they start from either A to Z, Z to A. That's why I said sort. It depends with type of value that we have. So for example, if we have phone numbers and we want to sort them, and I'll have to highlight the phone number here first, and I'll have to demonstrate something, and then we'll go together on this one. So I've highlighted all the data and go to sort and filter. Okay, it is still showing sort Z to A. Well, since this phone number it's referred as text, that's why it has not given me the option from smallest to largest. Now let me go to serial number and highlight. Yes, go all the way to the bottom of the data. Now when I go to sort, you can see now the wording has been changed. It shows sort smallest to largest, and it's sort largest to smallest. So with this feature you can use to rearrange data depending on your need. But usually you have to be very careful with this feature. But I'll only teach the best practice on how we can sort data. Because if you don't sort your data well, it will usually end up by breaking data somehow. It will have you having number 1, but with column 2 or with row 2 data. So usually the best approach towards sort, you'll have to select all your data in your table. So I'll have to select all my data in the table that I want to sort, including that white space there, the white row, which has no data. Yes, let's assume our data ends here, and I want to sort using the serial number. So if I want to sort using the serial numbers, this data are already sorted from 1 to the largest number using the serial number. But I'll sort, when I go to sort, I won't just click to the smallest to the largest or largest to smallest command. I'll go directly to custom sort. From custom sort, depending on how I selected the data, this sort by, we either bring the column name, the A, B, C, D, as we sort, as we learned in the introductory video there. But since I've only included a portion of my Excel worksheet, it will bring me the headers of the this Excel table so that I can use them as a sorting criteria or sorting name that I'll feed so that I can also choose the order. So for example, we want to, in our case, to sort using serial number. Since I wanted to sort using serial number and I highlighted all the cell I want those cell, I've highlighted all the cell that have to be affected by this, and then I'll choose largest to smallest, and then I'll press OK. And you can see now the serial number has been rearranged, has been sorted from the highest serial number to the smallest. Yes, sorry, to the smallest starting from 1. So this way is usually a good way of sorting data. So if you want to manipulate them, if you want to rearrange them using numbers, using any letter, it's usually a good way of rearranging data. So for example, let's say we want to rearrange or we want to sort the data using the age. We'll go again, highlighting the data. Notice one thing, I have highlighted the data using, I've included the column, the row with the table header. The row with the table header here is this row number 2, which contains the table header. Now when I go to sort and then custom sort, the first row which I selected usually turns up to be the row which it's become the sort by column. So if I want to use age, I'll use age. Since Excel know that the column age contain numbers, it will give me the order that smallest to largest or largest to smallest. We'll go to use name and see how it is. We'll start from smallest to largest. When I press OK, it will rearrange the age depending from the smallest to the largest. You can see in our data that it rearranged all the table data based on the age. But let's try another example whereby we'll sort using the name so we can see how it is. When I choose name, you see the order here, it's now changed. It's not smallest to largest. It's from A to Z and Z to A. Let's choose Z to A. And then when I press OK, since our data were auto-filled, and these data in here, they always, almost all of them contain the word employee plus a number. So it will start with the employee 99, and then it will rearrange depending the way the A to Z feature is. But if you have actual words, it will rearrange all the words starting from A to Z or Z to A, depending on your sorting criteria. Another thing that we can manipulate from this editing group is filter. Now, let's assume in all this data, it's a report. It's a staff list, but we want to extract only the males or the females from this report. We can use this feature called filter. Now, filter here, it's activated here in this column. Let me deactivate it. Yes, and then let's use let's use gender. Since we want to, let's choose all males in our staff list. Once I highlighted, or I'll highlight the entire column containing the gender data. When I highlighted that entire column, I'll go to home tab and then editing group, and then I'll click sort and click on filter command. When I click on filter command, you will see this down arrow, which will be showed here on top of it's on top of the column, but it's on the name and it's on the column name. When I left click on it, it will show me all the data that I contained in that row that I highlighted, and I can see all the data that can be contained in there. First, if I want to check all the males, I want to filter only the males, I'll have to uncheck all datas. When I uncheck all datas, that means I want to select specific data that I want them to show. So for example, here I choose male, and when I press OK, it will return only the male stuff from that table. So from here, from that, I have filtered only the males. So again, if I want to deal with this data, I may copy it and extract it to another worksheet whereby I can deal with the males that I wanted those data. For example, if I wanted the female, I'll just tick the female and uncheck the male. So if I press OK, only the female will be seen in our worksheet. But you can see in our gender, there's another value which is 2, which it was not supposed to be there. I think since we were doing a demo using the same file, that 2 was not supposed to be there. But if any other data which will be available in that column gender, it will also show up when it comes to filter. So when I press OK, here you see this column here was employee 165. It had the gender written by number 2. So if I want to clear the filter, I'll just select all and press OK, and then I'll highlight that column gender and go to filter and uncheck filter. That downward arrow in the gender column will disappear. That means I've unfiltered all my data, and all data that were available in this Excel can be seen. But another thing I'm supposed to show, but I forgot. Let's go back to activate the filter. When we filtered data, let's assume we have filtered males here. Press OK. You can see the cell that were filtered, their row number become blue. If the row number become blue and other number become black, that means all the rows that the row numbers has become blue. That means these data were filtered. That means this sheet has more than this data, but it has been it has been applied with a filter that is only showing these particular datas. So that way, it's easier to know that these data were filtered, or this data were filtered. So you have to be careful when you're dealing with them, or if you want to forward them to someone who possibly wouldn't be required the data to be filtered. Now, another feature which I also liked, it's filter by color. So filter by color, it's another feature here which is usually very good. Another thing with filter, whereby when we filter, filter, and I want to filter by color. Well, by default, our Excel has no color, has no any cell or any rows which has color. But let's add colors to it and see how we can filter using colors. Yes, let's assume this one a yellow, another one that color, and that one is black. Any color that will be available in your worksheet, we can use those colors to filter. So when we go to filter here and turn on the filter and touch any column that has a down arrow to filter, you can see this feature here, filter by color. So if I was working with my staff list and I had put color on several rows of my staff employees that with the red colors I have to deal with, I can use the filter by color feature whereby I'll have to apply colors to those employee which I wanted to have either update, or I wanted to have updates on something with them. When I use that filter by color, it will return me only the employee that were filtered. Now I'll remove the filter. It will show all the colors. But if I add the filter again and I touch any column that contains the filter downward arrow, and then I'll choose any feature, that I will choose any color that help me see only the employee with that particular color. So this is another best features used in Excel. It's very helpful when you are using you're trying to to filter, but you can also filter, you can always filter using your data that you are having. Well, that's all for this video. Thank you.